No.
All right, we're live. So we've got a few minutes before we officially go live. So this is where normally we talk about like anything you're reading or watching, listening to that you'd recommend.
Okay. I feel like I have not stopped talking about HBO I May Destroy You. I don't know if you've...
I don't even know what that is. No, what is it?
It's a show. It's by Michaela Cole, who is a British actor. I think she wrote, directed, and she stars in it as well. And it's amazing. It's like pretty intense. It's like not light-hearted by any means.
Right.
There's like quite a lot of trigger warnings in it, but like it's exceptional, I think.
So what would you compare it to? Like what's another program that might be a bit similar?
I think it touches on like kind of similar topics to something like Euphoria maybe, but it's maybe a bit heavier. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I think it's just one of those shows that like really opens up the dialogue for an interesting conversation around, like, I think a lot of things that people don't talk about, things that are generally like taboo and that kind of thing. So I feel like it's something that, I just had like a lot of really good conversations.
So something to watch with other people.
I don't know. Like I said, it comes with some pretty crazy like trigger warnings around sexual violence and stuff. So it's like a weird show to recommend, but it's also, I think it's an important show to watch. I'll just put it that way. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair enough. And reading anything that you'd...
What am I reading? I feel like I just downloaded like a bunch of books onto my Kindle, but I'm not really reading anything right now. I just bought Thinking Fast and Slow. That's kind of the next one that's on my list. So I'm trying to like alternate between fiction and nonfiction because
it's worth so I read it a while ago, but I just got the audiobook recently because I just wanted it's got a lot of stuff in there that I think it's worth listening to again. And so I actually got it, and it's really good. The audiobook's really good. So it's
I love an audiobook. Underrated in my opinion. Yeah.
All right, we're ready to start. So let's do the official roll. Hello, everyone. You're tuned into Foundry Live online. Foundry Live is a term-based event where we bring creative students and industry together to discuss what's happening in the industry. And obviously we can't do that. So instead we've gone to the professionals. So before I introduce the guest, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and we'll answer them either straight away or when we stop for a breath. And today with me, I have Gabby Lord. So Gabby is based in New York City. She's an associate design director at Character. She's applied her trade as a designer, creative thinker, art director from her hometown in Tamworth to Sydney to Berlin and eventually to the States. So I wanted to kick off because in 2018, you did a Creative Mornings, which is really worth watching if anyone. It's all about honesty. And you described yourself at the very start, and it's something, the way you described yourself, I really loved. You said you were a professional Googler, skilled post-rationalist, full-time emailer, and chasing unpaid invoices all the damn timer. Has that changed much?
Yes and no. I mean, I think professional Googler will always hold. Like, I think that technology is just advancing so quickly, I can't keep up. So most of the time I'm just hoping I can have enough vocabulary to know what I am actually trying to Google. I think that's half the battle. But I mean, I'm full-time now, so I have a salary, which means I don't have to chase invoices anymore. So that aspect is really good.
You have people to do that for you now. Exactly.
So definitely, some things still hold, but that part is definitely a lot easier now.
Now, when we first met, we met at Billy Blue, and I remember at the time while you were studying, you went off to work at Distillery, and it just occurred to me when we were going to catch up that I was like, there's a whole bunch of questions I never asked you, and one of them is about, obviously studying at the same time as working. Is that something you would suggest to students to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for that particular internship, that was part of the school curriculum. So it counted for course credit, which was really great. Yeah, it's like a learning experience, but then it like directly translated into how the course curriculum would work and counted towards my degree essentially. So in that sense, it was really great. And I think just getting that exposure as soon as possible was really good. I think it really gave me a leg up by the time I did graduate. I kind of had some studio experience. Although I wouldn't say that I was very like, yeah, I mean, I was still very, very junior burger when I graduated. So it definitely like gave me a lot of insight. So I probably would have been worse when I graduated if I hadn't have done that. So yeah, I definitely recommend it.
There was a quote that I read, I think it was in a TDK interview, and you talked about this idea of you were probably halfway through design college before the penny dropped. Can you talk more about, like, you penny dropped about what design was all about? Can you talk more about that and just kind of explain what that kind of realization was?
Totally. You've really like gone back deep in some interviews. Yeah, I'm like impressed, Matt. You've really got your detective hat on. Yeah, I think that, I mean, I do actually remember this moment quite vividly because I think that I went to design school not really knowing what design was. Like I had never opened, I hadn't even used a MacBook before. And then I got
Mac?
to uni.
What is this?
Yeah, literally, I was just like, what? How do I install Windows onto this thing? I was like, I don't understand. It was bad. It was bad, man. I've really transformed since then. But yeah, like all these kids, like they had already been using Photoshop for years and like, you know, knew all about Adobe Suite and I don't know, pen tools and all this stuff that I just was like, I have no idea like where to even find the X button on the browser window. And everyone else was just so good and so skilled already. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I like to draw. I'm kind of creative. I don't know. It's like these things that you like have tied to your identity as a child, and then it kind of just sticks, and then you're like, yeah, design school makes sense. But I think I was honestly like 2 years in before I was just like, oh, wait a minute. Like there's this whole design, you know how people joke about like design Twitter? There was like design internet that I just like discovered. And I remember finding like, I think it was like designspiration.com or something. And I was just like mind was just blown. I was like, look at all these business cards. That was like the it thing, business cards when I was in university. But yeah, I just think that like I really just had no idea what I was signing up for. And then when it clicked, I was just like, yes, I get this. I love this.
It's good that you did like it at that point.
Yeah.
So the Distillery, and this is again going back to a question I never got around to asking you. So very hands-on. So Distillery is a letterpress studio. So lots of ink, lots of paper stocks, that kind of stuff, GSMs. Not a lot of that stuff is taught in colleges anymore because there's so much other, as you said, so much more technology kind of happening all the time. How does that sit with you?
I mean, it's kind of funny actually now because I do have that background, and you know, I was definitely more of a production assistant during my time at the Distillery, so it was like helping mix paints and like prep the plates for the press and that kind of stuff. But even just like knowing how to use a PMS swatch book is something that I'm realizing, like especially coming to New York, like even like no one else in the studio really knew how to do this. Like even one of the design directors, like I was trying to show him how to do it, and everyone was just like wanting to throw the book in the bin. They were just like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. They were like, give me digital any day. So, I mean, it definitely still needs to be, it's definitely still present, I think, and like relevant in the design industry in terms of needing someone to do it. But it's definitely not super important anymore, I don't think. Is that bad to say?
No, it's like, I think if we went back sort of 5 years, everyone felt like they needed to say that hand skills were so important and they should be learning the basics before but now I think it's becoming more and more acceptable or true, that it's actually, there's so much more to learn. And Flynn just popped up a second ago, and we always have this conversation that, this idea of if you put something new into the course, you've got to take something out of the course.
Totally.
And so,
I feel like so many industry people are always like ranting about, no one gets taught this at university. And it's like, well, you only have X amount of time at uni too. And even just for that information to really sink in it takes time and it takes experience and practice. So I think there's a lot of pressure on design educators to like get designers or design students to a point where they know everything when they graduate, which is just never going to be the case.
No. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So let's one of the questions a lot of students were interested in, obviously you left Australia and they wanted to know why you left Australia. but also just that idea of, I guess, why Germany, and what was the kind of impetus that kind of led you to that point?
Yeah, that is a good question. I still don't really know. I was originally going to Italy. That was kind of the original plan. But I really wasn't that specific or that like kind of narrow-minded. I just really wanted to get overseas. Like I knew that I wanted to work overseas and was definitely interested in learning another language, which didn't really work out so well. That's a whole other story. Right. Let's not go into my German, but I think that I had some friends there that I had met, people that were working at the studio that I ended up working at Colour Bright and Ableton. So obviously I had met Maggie Tang in Sydney beforehand, and we stayed in touch. So how I ended up in Berlin is that I was visiting her when I was in Italy. Like I went to Italy first, and I visited her in Berlin just to say hi. And then she kind of dug her claws in and was like, come to Berlin. And I was just like, yeah, okay, why not? And then a year later I was there. So it kind of just happened very kind of slowly, but very fluidly. Like it just kind of made sense to start there. And then, I ended up being there for 4 years. So that kind of.
So do you think being there was easier to find work, or because a lot of students talk about this idea of like, they'd love to go and travel at some point but are confused about whether to kind of, I guess, apply now or once they're there?
Yeah. I mean, I had just booked the flight. I think I had 7 weeks out. I booked the flights for 7 weeks out, and I was just like, I don't know, I'm going to figure this out somehow.
Yeah.
And then like a week before I left, I got offered a job at Colour Bright, but I was kind of already talking to them a little bit, and I knew Sarah Lincoln, who was essentially one of the creative directors there, and she's also Australian, so there was always that
nice
Australian nepotism
looking after each other. Guys.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were kind of like a new company, and we're looking for someone to just kind of see how things could go. And they were just like, yeah, do you want to just like come in when you arrive, and we'll see how things go. And that was kind of it. So it was very, very casual and very like not formal or official, which is, I feel like, never what people actually want to hear. I feel like people are always disappointed when I tell them how this happened, because they're just like, oh, that's not that impressive.
Clint just put up a question there about opportunities, have they come from existing connections or more traditional application approach? So I guess you're kind of saying it's more existing connections that you had.
Yeah, character is my only job that I've ever gotten from a cold application, actually. And even then, I think it was because one of the designers there subscribed to my newsletter. I think that was I think that was probably the only reason they replied.
Yeah, your reputation precedes you. So is that why you moved to New York?
I mean, I was moving to New York regardless. I was kind of just going to apply the same.
It worked once. It's going to work again.
book the flight, deal with the rest afterwards. And that is, again, kind of what happened. I was chatting to character pretty early on, and I think I was chatting to them maybe like 6 months before I ended up moving to the US. And then they were like, oh yeah, that's like maybe a bit too soon to be having this conversation, but like, we'll stay in touch. And I was like, they're not going to stay in touch. Yeah. But then, they stayed in touch. And so I think I had already packed up. I packed up in Berlin, and I was back in Australia getting ready to go back like fly to the US, and again, a similar thing happened. I got an official job offer just a few weeks before I left. So highly
Amazing.
recommend lighting the fire under your own ass in that sense.
So arriving in New York, what were the main differences you saw in the kind of the design industry there?
Oh, I mean, so many. There's compared to Berlin, you mean, like the comparison to New York? Yeah. So New York and Berlin are very different beasts, I think, like Europe and the United States in general. I think obviously a massive difference is the work-life balance, and the work culture is obviously a lot more intense in the US, whereas there's definitely a lot more balance in Europe. I think just generally lifestyle, even just like, I don't know. I mean, character has great benefits, but in general, like the US, like, you know, things like maternity leave and paternity leave, all these kinds of things are virtually non-existent. Whereas in like Germany has like 14 months paid paternity leave. Yeah. So it's just it's just a very different mentality. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about character, I guess, for anyone who doesn't sort of know the studio. How would you describe it?
I would describe character as, we're definitely a branding studio in the sense that we combine lots of disciplines. I guess we have obviously a design department, and we obviously are majority designers, but there's also the strategy department, copy, you know, we do verbal identity, so we have a copy department. So we're kind of at the intersection of all of these things. And I think, like, to me, that's where this really kind of exciting world of branding lives, when really good design, really good copy, and really amazing strategy kind of come together and can get brought to life in the real world, which is the best part, when you get to see it out in the real world.
It's the ultimate outcome, isn't it? So your role as the associate design director, what does that entail?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, titles are always a bit weird because they kind of they mean different things everywhere.
Yeah.
But I basically means that I am very client facing, which, to be honest, I feel like I always kind of was even before. But design directors in general are more like client facing. You've got a team around you, and you're kind of like helping the designers get a lot of the work done. I'm still very hands-on at this point. And then there's, you're usually like the person in between kind of the overarching, more high-level creative directors and basically like the design team. So you'll usually have one design director. In terms of how character works anyway, there'll usually be, one design director, and then like anywhere between 1 and 3 kind of designers that are helping you kind of bring that project to life.
So you say that at this stage you're still very much in the thick of it. Is that something you think will change slightly and you become more of a strategic?
I mean, I think it depends on the company. I feel like I don't really see my role changing too much in character anyway. I think like a lot of the people prefer to be hands-on, and I definitely still like doing the stuff. I feel like I don't ever want to stop doing the stuff. The stuff is the fun part. But it has definitely been like a huge learning experience in terms of like, you know, learning how to direct as well. I think that, you know, that's something that I'm still very much learning how to do effectively, and like manage different personalities and help kind of bring the best out of other designers. Which is something you don't really have to do if you're kind of just like working in isolation, which is kind of more what I was doing before I joined character.
Yeah. There's a question there about social media, and has it helped create or maintain connections, or is it a whole different ball game?
No, Instagram has been amazing, and I mean Twitter too. But I feel like I knew so many people in New York before I moved here purely just through Instagram, where I would just be like, like, let's grab a coffee or catch up, and people are so open and willing to do that. So in that sense, social media has been an absolute game changer in terms of networking and just connecting, especially in a city like New York. Yeah.
So one of the things I noticed recently is that you actually kind of put up that there were some roles available at Character on Twitter.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how did they go? Did you get a good response?
Oh my God, so many responses. Yeah, we're kind of like filtering through them. I mean, it was great to see. It's amazing that
Yeah,
so many people are, I suppose also a lot of people are looking for work right now, given the
true.
current state of the world. But yeah, I mean, we're interviewing some really amazing people and it's great. It's great for me. I get to chat to all these new people and kind of learn more about, even get a sneak peek into some other companies and the projects that they've done. So that's kind
It's
of
always
cool.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been a good process.
I saw a lot of people in the comments, people just like sending you a link to their portfolio website. How do you feel about that?
Oh, wait. Oh, you mean on Twitter?
Yeah, yeah. There were lots of people just like putting up a link, kind of.
Yeah.
And I know some other designers have had their own thoughts about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty open. Like I put the tweet, I put it on Twitter, so I feel like I have to be open to like getting
Yeah.
those responses on Twitter. And we don't really have like a formalized process at Character. It's kind of just organized chaos in a way. So I just kind of collated everything anyway. As I do, I love a Dropbox paper. So drop them all in there, and then I kind of just go through and do like a first pass of vetting things, and then kind of send people that I think look interesting to the creative directors.
Yeah, that's great. There's a question here from Clint. Did you have long-term goals as far as positional roles go, or did you just grab the opportunities as they come up?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm more so coming to New York was probably for that. Like I was freelancing and doing my own thing for a while, and I was kind of not really sure where I would fit into like the New York design studio hierarchy. But I think it changes so much from studio to studio that these kind of goals can almost feel a bit arbitrary. But at the same time, I think it is good to have, like some kind of trajectory in the sense that like I knew that I wanted to be a design director before I was 30. I don't know. The 30 thing is it doesn't matter, but it was just like, I knew that I wanted that to be a thing. So that was kind of what I was personally working towards because it was challenging, but seemed achievable. So yeah, but that's probably the only time that I was really that focused on like a certain title. And that was more because my role would drastically shift into directing and more of a mentorship role opposed to working more in isolation. So it was goal orientated, but more in the sense that I wanted my day-to-day to change in a way that would force me to learn a new skill and like really hone in on my directing and mentoring abilities.
We got another question there from Isabel. What's it like working with clients and other designers in different countries?
Yeah. Was there a follow-up or is that?
Yeah. Is it difficult communicating, collaborating with other cultures?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. It's just, again, like a learning experience. I mean, I was just telling you, Matt, before we went online that I just got off a client call and it's 10 p.m. here. So we were just chatting to clients that we have that are in Taiwan. So like even how that changes from presenting to clients that are Taiwanese versus American, like those responses are very different. And it's kind of just understanding like what that communication style is. So yeah, not difficult, just different, I think, every time.
And I guess it also, that's a good sort of segue into how different we've had to do everything recently because of COVID. So what's it like being an Aussie in New York City during COVID and Black Lives Matter and elections?
Yeah, there is so much going on.
So from the outside, it looks like there's a lot going on. So I can't even imagine what it's like from the inside.
Yeah, it feels like a lot, definitely. I mean, these are all really important things that are going on. And I think that it affects everyone. Like I think COVID has really been a wake-up call for a lot of people. They're taking stock and reevaluating, like what they're prioritizing in their lives right now. And in a way, I'm hoping that will be a positive thing, that everyone's kind of reevaluating and making changes because we're all realizing that life is too short and we're really have taken simple things for granted, like hugging people. I don't know. Or just like I just really want to go dancing. I want to like be sweaty in a club somewhere, and I'm just like, I feel like that's why I left Berlin, because I like wasn't even into that. But now I'm just like, oh, to be in like a big group of people, I'm just like,
be amazing.
give me the crowd. Yeah. Give me the
so
cramped
funny.
subway back. I'm like ready for it, but yeah, won't be happening for a while.
Is there anything that you've, I guess, picked up? And I guess this comes from like talking to lots of different designers who have always got something that they picked up during this kind of forced lockdown that they're going to keep on doing. Is there anything that you've found?
Oh, no, mine are all very bad habits. I hope to not keep any of them. Yeah.
Excellent. I did have, is Broads Down Under still going?
It is still going. Yes. It's like not really, I mean, it's chugging. Let's be real. It's like one of those things that takes a lot of effort, which we did a bit of an update a few weeks ago, but yeah, we try to stay on top of it as much as possible, but it's not really like, it's more of like a static resource now for people to use and kind of check back on. But yeah, we had an Instagram at one point and that kind of faded. I think that like the whole Instagram account, you got to be like really committed to it. And none of us just really had the time. So the main focus has kind of shifted to the directory now.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
If anyone isn't getting your newsletter, which I realized this morning that I wasn't getting your newsletter, it must have cancelled at some point. So I've resubscribed. But if anyone is not getting, they should definitely get it. It's a really great kind of slice of kind of what's happening in the industry. I wanted to ask you, because you've been so consistent, how do you keep that consistency up?
Oh, I feel like I haven't. I mean,
really?
Definitely not during 2020. Like 2020 kind of, I mean, everything went to shit, and I feel like people have, yeah, I'm still doing it, definitely. It's just like, I mean, I've been doing this for over 5 years now, every week. So I think it's more like if for the first like 4.5 years, I did not skip a week, like every single week, same time that newsletter was going out, rain, hail, or shine. And now I'm just kind of cutting myself a bit of slack, realizing that, we're kind of going through a bit of a traumatic time right now. And people are probably not going to, get mad at me if I skip a week every now and then. So I'm literally like meant to be sending one out today, but I don't know if that'll happen now. So it's coming.
This is the newsletter.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've reached our time already. So thank you so much, because I know it's late at night over there. I've got five quick questions for you.
All right.
Just to finish off, what's one of the things you miss from home?
I miss my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
Now, this is what I mean, my bad habit. No, I go out and I always make my bed every morning. Yeah. And I have been going just for a walk around the block, just trying to go outside at some point, because otherwise I just roll out of bed and into my desk cave, and it's not good.
At least you're not picking up the phone straight away. That's my big thing I'm trying to stop at the moment.
Yeah. That's hard, that one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to break.
Who's your favorite studio apart from character?
Oh no, I can't answer that. Christopher Doyle and Co. I'll just say that.
Yes.
That's a cheap answer.
Safe. Best tip from working from home?
Oh, get outside at some point. Like, that's the biggest one.
And is there something that you've learned from living in New York City, maybe apart from COVID, that you weren't expecting?
Watch where you're stepping.
I love it. It's a nice solid tip there.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for doing this. If people want to find out more stuff around you, where should they go?
I don't really have any work online at the moment, but my portfolio website is gabbylord.com, but the OMG Lord directory is probably the most helpful thing in terms of, especially from a student perspective. So omglord.com. You can also sign up to the newsletter there, and hopefully there is lots of stuff that can help people out. But also, you know, I'm a person on the other end of email. So if there's also things that are missing from the site that you want to see up there and I might know something about, I can also prioritize that. I'm always like adding stuff to the site based on questions that people ask me. So yeah, hit me up.
That's awesome. And thank you for everyone who watched and made comments, and tune in next time. And we're speaking to Ian Haig next time. So thanks, Gabby. Have a great night.
Thanks, Matt.